Today, we're talking about Slayer's X Terminal Aftermath Vengeance of the Slayer, and how it's the most meta character piece of gaming software in existence. It's time to step back into the hypno space of the 90s. Why is my voice like this? At the risk of showing my age, I grew up in the 90s. And if you grew up in the 90s, there's a few realities, for me especially. Everyone's dad was stronger than everyone else's dad. Road Rash was the only game that I played. And because we weren't kids anymore, we played Duke Nukem and not Doom. Doom was for kids. Duke Nukem had strippers, money, and you could jump, so it was obviously far superior. Much like Duke, Slayer's X is a product of its time. So, crack open a cola, order that Happy Meal, tighten those skinny jeans because we're about to go down the Boise sewer pipe and I'm not sure we're gonna make it back.
I am the X Slayer.
Slayer's X Terminal Aftermath Vengeance of the Slayer. Developed by J. Tholen and starring Zane the Hitman Hart as
Zane,
the X Slayer, CEO of Big Z Studios, and apparently, who's Adam Chase? Adam Chase, who may or may not be an enslaved hacker in Zane's secret bunker. He also may be another persona of J. Tholen. I actually don't know anymore. Alright, you gotta understand this. In one hand, I have the persona of Zane, a character from another game called Hypnospace Outlaw, also created by Jay. Hypnospace Outlaw was a point-and-click adventure game, also created by Tholen, which is described as a 90s internet simulator, where you meet and talk to another character called Zane. J. Tholen, who's credited for making Hypnospace Outlaw, isn't mentioned on the game's Steam page, but is mentioned on Jay's website along with Mike Lash, who is mentioned on the Steam page. On the other hand, we've got Zane, the X-Slayer protagonist in Slayer's X, on a meta level. This can only mean that Zane is making a video game about himself as Zane in the game, who is also a character in a 90s internet simulator game. All of this can only lead me to one inescapable conclusion, that J. Tholen is a genius and Zane is Jay. Jay is Zane. It's the most meta hardcore Fight Club thing I've ever experienced in a game before. This leads me to believe that Slayer's X is the most meta character piece of gaming software in existence right now. Of course, I've got no idea. This could all just be in my head and I could just be making this shit up.
your hack blood power is growing, but you are not quite ready to yield its full power yet.
Slayer's X is a time capsule of 90s shooting game simulation. Zane himself says he started working on this idea when he was 16 in high school, inside his school notebook, which is both for Zane in the game and Zane in real life, or whoever that persona is on Twitter. When it comes to the game itself, which is like saying, what is the meaning of life at this point? The game is a campy dialogue of quirky, edgy humor and characters, perfect for the 90s era of gaming. Slayer's X is not something like Dusk or Iron Fury, working to mimic the look and feel of older games. It is an original. It simulates something from the 90s. It's not emulating it. The gameplay is pretty good, albeit what you may call more traditional. Jumping is a nice feature, for example. And in this way, it reminded me a lot of Duke Nukem 3D. The guns are really creative, unique to the game, not sticking to the traditional lineup too much of shotgun, pistol, machine gun, and so on. Sure, you do get a pistol, but it's a slime double pistol. Yeah, okay, you kinda get a shotgun, but it shoots glass. The rocket launcher and grenade launcher equivalents are also there, but it's remixed for X-Slayers, something that you could make in the back alley or behind a dumpster. Pistols and launchers are throwing whatever hack blood energy is. I think hack blood is just added there for extra oomph. As far as I can tell, Hackblood is basically materialized boomer energy juice, used for ammo, energy, and whatever else the story needs it to do. It also mutates shit. Yes, there is shit in this game, living shit. What other games have shit that comes alive to attack you after mixing with totally not monster juice? Speaking of monsters, there are a few that represent the bad guys. The Psycho Syndicate. From fodder baseline Psycho gang members, that's Psycho with a K because spelling is overrated according to Zane, to mass-produced junkies, floating brain skulls, all the way to wolf girls with rocket launchers and... Each monster is unique, mixing up short range, long range, and close-up encounters, making a good balance for all, and also giving you the opportunity to mix and match your arsenal a little bit better. You're not just relying on the shotgun the entire game. It doesn't just make tactical sense to shoot wolf girls at a distance with the Helix triple rocket launcher, It's because these guns are fun to mix up and use, each packing a punch, except maybe the pistols. They can sometimes feel like a wimp dildo. But you'll only be using them for sniping as your fallback weapon, sometimes. I kinda use them as your quasi-machine gun early game. They also don't talk, which is a nice touch. Look, if you want to get high on life and give Slayer's X a jam, don't let me stop you. But know that it feels weird. Slayer's X, that is. Not just because there's a tingle down your spine because of the strange, although oddly appealing humor, and that is gonna happen. A lot.
It's time to mash some psycho potatoes and make a potato salad out of their stupid little guts.
But also because of the level design. The maps here are a bit of a strange thing, if I'm honest. Going from realistic and fun, especially map 1, and then getting a little weird. Kinda like the map was started by one person and then someone else threw in another section on top of it. The Potato Festival, for example, is filled with some real-world set pieces, which is really great, but the navigation always felt a little off, like they were trying to cram things in. The first part of the festival, and upper sections, it feels like the designer just ran out of space, and although there is an underground lair, for good measure, it doesn't feel like it was added in with big picture thinking. Kinda like, there's a space, let's throw it in there, rather than the navigation making sense. Overall, the levels are really interesting from an artistic point of view, but feel janky and unfinished. Don't take my word for it though, speak to the several thousand secret rats you'll find throughout the game. Rats are friends, not food. They're also the elite allies of the X Slayers.
My people need proof that you really are on the outside. We need cheese.
There also could be a secret to unlock with the Rat King if you bring him some cheese on the first level. There's another one in another level, but I don't have footage of that. But I couldn't find any cheese to bring him, so this could be a thing, but I didn't look for it. Also, cheese. Finding cheese. X Slayers. Chop Goblins. There's gotta be a Chop Goblins X Slayers crossover on this timeline. There has to be. It's not a bad thought. I think we should make this happen. There is a lot of Doom Q throughout the game, which really gives the experience of the character and the space a whole lot of charm. Immersion. I didn't think I'd say immersion when it came to Slayer's X. You do feel like you're blasting through Boise. On the face of it, Slayer's X is gonna rub a lot of people the wrong way, especially if they're permanently on Twitter. Those poor bastards. But in its own way, that's kind of the point. The game that Zane made is great. The simulator that Jay made is a masterpiece. Fuck, this one reached around in front of my desk and took me by surprise. I wrote this 3 times and even now I'm doubting if I can ever do it again, with the mental damage of trying to unwrap the lore the way that I did. And this lore is ridiculous. I recommend you go and dig a little deeper into it. It's kind of insane. And Jay is a master creator.
You will see my true power.
Go and give Slayer's X a try. I think it's a pretty good time, especially if you're from the 90s like me, it touches you in the right way. Also, a big shout out to Zane himself for giving me an early copy of this game. Really appreciate it, pal. Nice work. I'm still not sure who is who. If Zane is Jay, Jay is Zane, who's Chris, who's Chase? Where did these people come from? I don't know. Are they all the same people? This could be a real thing, and I'm actually losing my mind over it. It's either completely brilliant or utterly insane, maybe both at the same time. Either way, thank you for watching. Shout out to my amazing patrons. You're the Zane to my Jay, and honestly I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing at this point. If you'd like to support my channel, feel free to subscribe, or sign up to my Substack. I actually write about games outside of this channel, and if you like to read about games rather than watch about games, that might be a cool option for you. Either way, you're here at the end, so thank you for watching, and be sure to comment with the word X Slayer in the comments, and I'll heart it. Until next time everybody, I love you very much. Please take care, rip and tear. Cheers. Honestly, I'm just realizing that most of this is the most meta of metas that I've ever meted before in my life.